you remember way back when we used to be able to, travel places and enjoy other and new foods? Well, this is one of the all-time favorites that we discovered when we used to be able to travel, and I can't wait to share the recipe with you today. Hey, I'm James from Smoking Dad Barbecue, and welcome to another awesome keto-friendly recipe. I've got a playlist down below if you want to check out some more great keto-friendly cooking ideas that can have you enjoying your barbecue and still sticking with your New Year's grill resolutions. Anyways, the cook today was inspired from a family trip we did a couple years ago down to Dominican Republic. It was essentially French cuisine with some baby lobsters and a bit of a buttery curry flavor sauce, and it was fantastic. And so what I'm going to share with you today, we're adapting a couple things to make it keto friendly, as well as substituting baby lobster for shelled, clean, ready to go fresh shrimp. But if you have access to baby lobster, it's absolutely a winner with that as well. So the first order of business, we want to build a fire in our Kamado Joe Big Joe behind me. And what we're going to be doing is roasting our cauliflower with some olive oil and some garlic. And we're going to blitz that into some rice. So that's really flavorful as our base layer. Then we're going to make up our shrimp curry, for lack of a better word, we'll call it that, in the Kamado Joe Wok, and pour that over top of that base when we're ready to plate it and serve it. So first thing we need is to get some fire going so we have some heat to play with, and I'll bring you a little bit closer so I can show you how we're going to set up for today's cook. All right, so this cook is really straightforward. I've already emptied out our leftover ash from a previous cook and left in our divide and conquer rack. So we're going to use that first for the roasting of our cauliflower rice, and then we'll remove the heat shield plates and just stick with the X accessory ring in order to hold our Kamado Joe Wok in place. So let me just grab a little bit more Jealous Devil charcoal, we'll dump that in, start our fire, and we'll be ready to start working on our cauliflower. So as you can see, we still have lots of air space. You can see the holes around the side, even a few spots on the bottom, but this is going to be more than enough charcoal for today's cook. And I've concentrated a little bit towards the center, as that will be where we want to start our fire so that it's diffusing evenly on the heat deflector plates, as well as warming our wok once we install it later. If we want to, we can always rake the coals into a different position depending on the heat and how hot we want our wok. Okay, so now that we got our fire going, we're going to want to drop in our X accessory ring. I'm going to put that on the middle position today. And the next thing we're going to do is preheat our heat deflectors. I don't know if you could tell earlier, you could see my breath, but it's cold where I am. And so in a really cold environment like that, you don't want to shock your ceramics, either going from really cold to really hot quickly, or from really hot to really cold, as that can stress and crack them. So a nice gentle way to warm them up is to do this pizza pie configuration right after you light your fire. So we're going to want to stabilize around 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So once we get closer to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, we'll come back, we'll push these together and start adjusting our vents. But for right now, I've got the bottom vent all the way open, as well as the top vent, which is just barely making the shot there. All right, well, despite the cold weather, we're already north of 600 degrees here, and all I did is go and grab our ingredients for our next step, so that was fast. Woo. Let's go ahead and push our plates together so that we are cooking indirect. So what we'll do now is just close the dome, adjust our vents. And so I'm going to put the bottom vent down to about 1 finger's width and come back up here and adjust our top vent to just on the right hand side of our third vent here. So we'll just give that a minute to stabilize, see if we land somewhere in and around 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll be ready to throw on our cauliflower. Total cook time for the cauliflower is only about 15 minutes. Okay, so we've just hit about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So what we want to do now is just go ahead and grab, this is maybe just a little bit more than a couple teaspoons of olive oil. Drizzle that in. Couple turns on the pepper grinder, a little bit of diamond kosher crystal salt, and a spoonful of garlic. So now we'll just mix this up really well. You don't want too much olive oil or butter, as it'll sort of steam and soften the cauliflower versus infusing it with a little bit of flavor. So we want to break it apart into sort of something that looks more like rice. It'll do that. So let's go ahead and get this on the grill, and we'll come back and check on it in 15 minutes. Okay, so at the 15-minute mark, came and checked our cauliflower. We needed a few more minutes, so we're now at 20 minutes. Let's go ahead and see if we're starting to get any browning on the outside edges. So that's looking good. I think maybe another 5 minutes and we should be set. Okay, so just before we pull this off, I like to go ahead and add a little bit of grated Parmesan over our grate. Okay, I've just taken out the deflector plates and taken the cauliflower rice inside. Let's move our X accessory ring up to the top position, as well as drop in our wok to start building some heat in that. And we have all our ingredients over here, so I'll just move the camera so you can see everything, as this part happens quick. We were, 25 minutes or so doing the cauliflower. This will be over in a matter of minutes. So we're almost there, team. Let's just close this up and give it a few more minutes to build some heat. All right, I think we're ready to get started. So now we've got a little bit of heat in our pan. Let's go ahead first and drop in, I think this is 4 tablespoons of butter. I'll put the exact amount in the description below. We'll let this start to melt. The next thing we're going to do is knock in some onions as well as curry powder, and we're going to sweat those out for a couple minutes. Okay, so next I'm going to add in our onions or shallots. You can use either one, whichever you prefer. I prefer shallots, but today we had onions in the house. That's what we're using. Also add in our curry powder right now as well. And just give that a mix and a chance for those onions to sweat out and absorb some of that curry powder and butter. Just going to close the vent for a second to settle our fire a bit. So I've got the bottom vent closed, the top vent open. That's why you do want to leave your vent open. I don't know if you were able to hear some of that sound, but that pressure, if you had your vent closed, would cause this to pop and sort of put a bit of a pressure bomb on your ceramics. So whenever you're closing a hot dome, you always want to make sure you have this open a bit, and then we can tighten that right up to nearly closed, just to help sort of settle inferno mode. We'll just give this a second, and then we'll continue to mix our onions. Open things back up here, and that looks good. I think we are ready to add our shrimp. I'm just going to spread these out around the pan. We'll add them into our sauce a little bit later. Okay, so I flipped those. Let's add in our Primo carefully here to the side of our wok. And we are about to do some flambe action. Let's just tip this over here. And we will now let those shrimp flambe burn off that alcohol. I'm going to add in garlic and olive oil. And now that our flambe is out, we'll just mix everything into our sauce now. So now we're going to add a cup of heavy cream and bring that to a simmer. So while we're waiting for that to come to temperature, now is a good time to throw in a couple cracks of salt and fresh cracked black pepper. All right, it's time to get this off. Take this inside, make up a plate, see you in a few minutes. All right, just like that, the cook is over. I mentioned after the cauliflower would be just a few minutes, and we are maybe 3, 4, 5 minutes tops on this portion of the cook. So I've taken everything inside. We're starting to serve it up. I brought out the customary Pitmaster sampler, and so we've got our base of our cauliflower rice that we just processed up with forks and knives. You can throw it in a blender if you like to make it really fine. I like retaining a little bit of that texture and crispy parts that we get with some of that garlic or Parmesan or olive oil on it. And then just added a couple spoonfuls of our kind of curry base along with the shrimp here to try. So let's dig in and see how we did. You know, as a kid, I hated cauliflower. Well, apparently, all it needs is like a stick of butter, some garlic, and a little bit of flambe action with some shrimp, and it's amazing. So that's a little parenting hack for you guys right there. Kids will love cauliflower. I'm going in for another bite. So good. Let's go ahead and try our shrimp. Boy, does that take me back to the times when we could travel and we were having this on a New Year's Eve on a beach in Dominican Republic. It is amazing. Some great French cuisine right here at home on our Kamado Joe using the wok accessory. Knocked out a winner. And keto to boot. So I'll put a link down below again for the keto playlist if you want some more recipe ideas. That's our theme for the month of January to help you achieve your girl resolutions. And we have reached the spot where it's time for me to sign off. So if you like this video, please let YouTube know by smashing that thumbs up button. Let me know by hitting subscribe to catch future videos. And until next time, I'm James from Smokin' Dad BBQ saying goodnight. And remember, don't be afraid to fire it up.